Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Louise Nichols, I'm a textile artist and I live in Cornwall. And this video is going to be about, it's going to be part one, and I'm going to be talking about my folk flowers design. So it's quite an old design actually. Oh gosh, probably just after COVID, maybe about 4 years old. But it's a kit that never made it into the Etsy shop. It was one that I just took along to fairs, sold it there. And also, if any of you have ever been onto one of my workshops, you'll know that I bring a box of sort of extra prints with me, and it always went into there. And because it is an old design, it was a kit that didn't have a booklet enclosed with it with photographs of all the different steps, which is what I'm doing with all the new kits now to help make it easier for those of you that buy the kits, as well as these videos, which are also aimed to help with the kits as well and the various stitches and things. So I've been restitching, there are 3 different colourways, and I've been restitching each of the colourways and photographing each bit to be able to make the booklet. But the blue one, I'll show you the colourways actually. So there's a green one. This is the design. This is the green one. And there's a pink one as well. And in fact, let me just show you. So this one's just backed with felt. That's what comes in the kit at the moment. Might be changing that. I'll talk to you about that another time. And it also fits into a 12-inch embroidery hoop. So you can see here I've restitched the pink one, and this is the blue one. Now I quite like this, but every time I print it or I look at it, I think I wish I'd made the blue a little bit softer. It's quite a yellowy blue, and the fabric it's printed on is sort of a lilac-y grey. And I just felt a softer blue maybe would have suited it a little bit better. So this was the time now to reprint it, which is what I've done. So this is the print. And it's actually kind of turned out to be a lilac-y blue. So what I thought I'd do is, while I'm restitching this one, I'll do a few videos. There'll probably be, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 videos, and I'll do it to show you the steps of how to stitch this kit. I did it with the Seagull kit, did the whole kit from start to end to show you how to do it. So I'm going to do it with this one as well. So what I'm going to do in a minute is take you overhead, and I'm going to start sticking. I'm going to cut this down. I need to go and back it with some lightweight interfacing first, so I'll go and do that, and then I'll start sticking my bits of felt down and do the little stitch that I always do around the outside. So I'll take you overhead and show you all that so you get a much better close-up view of that. Okay. So I've backed the print now with a lightweight interfacing, which you will get in your kit, and I'm afraid I've already cut out the felt bits to go onto the design. I'd already done that before I decided to make this into a video, so I can't show you cutting out the felt pieces, but what I can tell you is that in the kit you get felt templates, and it tells you they're all numbered, and the felt as well, you'll get pieces of felt in the kit, and they are lettered. They've got a letter. So this says felt A, and you know you've got to cut out shapes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which are all this little leaf shape here. And then you get a felt diagram, and this is numbered. So this tells you where all those numbers go. So on here, 1 and 2, and you can see that 1 goes here and 2 goes here, which is here and here. Okay, you also get a stitch diagram, and I'll refer back to that in a minute. So those things you will still be getting in the kit, and then previously it was just typed instructions. I don't know if there might have been an example sheet with maybe a couple of extra photos. But as I say now, I like to put a booklet in with lots of photos so it gives you a much better idea of where everything's got to go. So these are the colours that I've chosen this time. So this is the original look. And then this is the colourway that I'm going for now. So I've got my trusty Pritt stick. Let me just move that out the way. So what I'm going to do now is to stick all these felt pieces down. I tend to cut mine out by eye. I just kind of snip till it fits. But as I say, in your kit, you'll get templates. There's also a piece of tracing paper that's included, so you can trace those shapes and make yourself little templates if you don't want to cut the sheet itself up. That's really up to you. So in fact, actually, I haven't cut all the bits. Look, I've still got some of this. This is to go across these little sort of tulip shaped flowers. So I'll be cutting a few of those as well. I better make sure I've got my other pair of scissors. Right. Okay, I've got those as well. Right, okay. So what else was I going to say? Oh yes, so and then what I'm thinking is at the end of this, when it's ready to be made into a hanging, then that will be, along with the other colourways, part of the making into a whatever. So the part one of that was a cushion, but I'm going to do hangings, shaped hangings, and I can't remember what else. I can't remember what else in a minute. Anyway, so I'm going to get on with sticking these bits down. Now you can, if you want to, you could stick them down a piece at a time and stitch them. I'm going to stick the whole lot down so that you can see how it looks once it's got that felt on there. So I'm just going to start laying these pieces on now. I think that one actually goes in the middle, not at the side. Yeah, that one's for there. That one comes right down to that edge there. You get a colour A4 image as well in the kit, so you've got that to refer to as well if you're not sure about anything. Okay, I've lost a dot somewhere, a little tiny felt circle, so I'll have to go and get a little bit more of that felt and cut that out. But basically, that is all the felt in position. And again, let me bring that original one in. It's quite different, isn't it? Yeah, quite different. But I really like this. I like this colourway. Okay, so I'm going to get my Pritt stick now and begin to stick these bits down. So I only use a little bit. I don't cover the whole thing. You could use plique pins if you want to, or whatever fabric glue you usually use. You don't have to use Pritt stick, but for me it works really well. It's not very messy. Even if you get a big dollop of it on the felt, it's not too tricky to stitch through, so I do like it. I'm trying to make my way down, working my way down the print doing this. The one thing you do have to be careful with felt is maybe on something that's a little bit longer. If you were doing a long strip, try not to sort of put it down. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, don't put it down and pull the Pritt stick along it, because it will stretch. And then you'll carefully cut your piece out, put your Pritt stick on, stretch it, go to stick it back down, and it'll be way too big for the shape that you wanted it for. So just be careful when you're doing that. What I try and do is sort of hold it in my hand and just kind of put a couple of dabs on without pulling the felt. Did I stick that one? No, I didn't. Okay, I just want to show you me sticking this shape down here. I just wanted to talk to you about when felt comes to a fine point like this. So this is okay here, although you probably saw I did put Pritt stick on the end of there, and the tips of these leaves are okay, but this is quite a fine point that this one comes to here. And wool felt particularly, it has a habit of, it will come apart if it's cut to, let me show you, if it's cut to a very fine point, you'll find that the fibres will start to come away. And what you don't want is, as you're starting to stitch into your felt, for it to start to sort of break up. So you could put an interfacing on the back that would hold the fibres. You could put bonder web or fuser web on the back. But what I do, make sure I've got it the right way round, is I just make sure I've got a good bit of glue on that end, a little bit on that end, and then that little bit of glue, it's not too difficult to stitch through, and it just holds those fibres while you're stitching through them. Okay, I think that's everything on. Sometimes I lift it up and then a couple of bits drop off. So I need to go and find another little bit of felt, that grey colour there. So I'll go and do that, stick that on, and then I will start stitching. In fact, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to start stitching now. And then Graham hasn't got to do an edit, has he, and start another video. I can add the felt circle in a little while. Okay, so I'm going to, because obviously I've changed the colours of the felt, I'm going to change the colours of the threads as well. Some of them anyway. But the original was stitched with this, it's like a soft beigey grey. It's a Gutermann thread. So I'm going to shade 618 in case you need to know. So I'm going to stitch with this one still. And I'm going to, when I've got all my pieces stuck on like this, I don't start stitching in the middle. What I'll do is I'll start stitching around the outside ones first, and then you're not sort of crumpling everything up to get into the middle, because sometimes these will peel off when you've stuck them down. So I've threaded my needle up. So this would be thread 1 in the kit, thread number 1. Single thickness, I've knotted the end, and I'm going to start on this leaf here. Now I come up on the inside of the felt and I go back down on the outside, and I like my stitches to be straight, so I'm going to go in there just above that tip and then make my way around the outside of the felt. Now, I have been told a few times on workshops that you should never come up inside the fabric, come up through a fabric. But this is just the way that I feel comfortable doing it. If you want to stitch from the outside in, that is absolutely fine. There is no right or wrong way of doing this, I don't think. It's just how you feel comfortable, and this is the way I've always done it. And apart from when you've got those tips of felt when it's very fine, I've not had any problem with the felt sort of splitting or coming apart when I come up through the fabric. So when I get to the end here, I'm going to do one more stitch that way, turn it round, and then make my way down the other side of the felt. I don't want to pull my thread out my needle. In fact, needles, I like a long needle. You can see the eye's not too big on this one. I think as long as your thread's not going to slip out, you know, something like this would be way too big. But these are, I like straw milliner needles. They tend to be quite long. They come in different sizes. So that's the type of needle I'm using. But again, I think that's personal preference. As long as the thread fits through the eye and the eye's not too big that the thread will keep pulling out. I don't include needles in my kits either. Again, I think if you're a stitcher, if you're going to do something like this, you've probably got your own favourite needles anyway, and it just keeps the cost of the kits a little bit lower. So you can see I've finished off that shape there, and I've come out the at the back. And with this, I am going to carry the thread over. It's only a short distance, look to that other piece there. So I'm going to start stitching that one as well. And I'm not too worried about the corners being completely down. I'm not going to do a diagonal, excuse me, on the corner. I'm just going to turn it round and then come up. I'm going to do a little tiny stitch about there. Excuse me. Go back in opposite where I've come out and then start again going along the edge of this felt. With felt as well, because it's soft and a little bit, it's thicker, you might find that you need to make your stitches a little bit bigger than you would normally. And also, as I'm pulling my thread through, I'm just leaving it to sit on the top of the felt. I'm not really pulling it very tight. It's just sitting. Not there. Just sitting on the top of the felt. I don't want it to pull right down. Okay, so I'm going to get all of these stitched down now, and then I will bring you back in once I've done that. Okay, so that's all my felt stitched down now. I added the extra spot there that had disappeared. So I've done the up and over stitch around the outside of all those bits of felt now. It is actually the next day. I sat and did this while I was watching the tennis yesterday. And I forgot to say as well, if you do have the kit on the stitch diagram, it's the little shapes that have got the little dashes around the outside edge. They're all the felt shapes, and that shows you where to do that stitching. Okay, so next time we'll be looking at couching. So that will be the next part in this series of videos. So thank you very, very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.